In today's financial climate, knowing how to interact with banks about your Iraqi dinar and Vietnamese dong holdings is more important than ever. Whether you're new to currency investing or a long-time holder, your approach can open doors or get them quietly closed. Here at Iraqi Dinar News, we're breaking down the right strategy to approach banks in 2025 with clarity, caution, and confidence. This guide isn't just about information, it's about preparation. Done right, it can make the difference between being taken seriously and being shut down before your questions are even heard. If you've ever walked into a bank hoping to ask about your Iraqi dinar or Vietnamese dong, only to be met with blank stares, awkward silences, or outright refusal, you're not alone. Thousands of holders have had similar experiences, but this doesn't mean banks are unwilling to help. It means there's a correct way to start the conversation. In 2025, banking institutions are operating under extremely strict compliance protocols. Bank staff are trained to detect speculative behavior and report anything that could resemble fraud or financial irregularity. If you walk in and use terms like revaluation, redemption center, or secret rate, you're not starting a dialogue. You're triggering internal red flags. That could mean getting flagged in their system, turned away, or even denied future services. Instead, you need to shift your language from speculative to procedural. Consider saying, "Good afternoon. I'd like to understand your foreign currency intake procedures, particularly concerning recognized international currencies such as the Iraqi dinar or Vietnamese dong." That phrasing alone sends a completely different message. It shows respect, professionalism, and alignment with banking terminology. You're not asking for insider information, you're demonstrating an interest in process, not hype. And speaking of presentation, appearance and preparation matter. Bring a valid ID such as a passport or driver's license, and include any purchase receipts or documentation showing where you obtained your currency. If you have certificates of authenticity, bring them too. Organize everything in a clean, well-labeled folder. If the bank posts its foreign exchange policy online, print it out and include it in your documents. This presentation sends a powerful message. You've done your homework, and you're here to ask real questions, not chase rumors. Equally important is timing and choice of who you speak with. Never try to raise these matters with a teller during a busy shift. They're unlikely to be trained for these topics and will most often refer you elsewhere, or simply say no. Instead, calmly ask to schedule a meeting with a specialist in foreign currency exchange or someone responsible for compliance matters. You might say, "I'd like to schedule an appointment with someone familiar with your international currency procedures." That line shows patience and intent, allowing the bank to route you to the right person. Once that appointment is scheduled, your demeanor is just as important as your paperwork. Stay calm, courteous, and focused. Avoid phrases like, "I heard it's happening this week," or "I saw online it's live." Such language only confirms that you're following speculative chatter, and trained bankers will steer clear of that. Anchor your questions in policy and public economic data. With Iraq's ongoing monetary reforms and growing central bank reserves, I'm interested to know whether your intake guidelines for the dinar have changed recently. This makes you sound informed and grounded, not emotional or reactive. Additionally, drop internet slang that banks don't recognize. Terms like RV, contract rates, or backdoor deals will only hurt your credibility. Instead, use phrases such as foreign currency processing procedures or international note intake protocol. That's the kind of language banks understand and respect. If you're serious about standing out, consider printing reports from the Central Bank of Iraq or Vietnam's Ministry of Finance. These real-world updates will show you're not following forums or hearsay. You're following data. Another subtle but powerful strategy: choose the right time of week and day to visit. Avoid peak hours like Friday afternoons or lunch breaks. Opt instead for mid-morning appointments on Tuesdays or Wednesdays. Then, when scheduling, phrase it respectfully. Would it be possible to arrange a time to speak with someone about your procedures for international note handling? Simple professionalism like this leaves a lasting impression, and it often leads to better answers. After each visit, make a note of the name of the person you spoke with, the date, and what was discussed. Keep a log of your interactions. If you return to that bank and refer back to a previous discussion with the same representative, you build a visible track record of professionalism and intent. Over time, this can help you access more detailed conversations or even receive early notification of internal updates once policies shift. This documentation shows consistency and maturity, traits institutions value. If a bank employee says no to your question, avoid arguing or debating. Instead, ask calmly, "May I speak with someone from your compliance or foreign currency policy department for clarification?" Even if they can't give you more answers right away, your conduct will be noted. Banks often maintain internal records on customer behavior related to sensitive topics like currency exchange. A respectful, measured visit today may open doors in the future. Some banks are already making quiet preparations behind the scenes for high-value currency exchanges. These preparations include dedicated rooms, secure handling procedures, and specially trained officers, but they aren't advertised. They're reserved for clients who demonstrate long-term professionalism, discretion, and seriousness. If you're hoping to gain access to such services, your best path starts now by establishing a record of responsible conduct, thoughtful questions, and consistent engagement. Let's shift our focus now to an urgent warning that remains just as relevant in 2025 as ever: fraud. Scammers continue to target holders of Iraqi dinar and Vietnamese dong with fake opportunities, secret group invitations, and false promises of private exchanges or guaranteed contract rates. These are classic red flags. No regulated bank operates this way. Never trust any individual offering a private backdoor exchange, and never hand over your currency to a third party, no matter how convincing they may sound. Don't mail your notes and never pay any upfront fees without clear, verifiable documentation. If the offer sounds too good to be true, it absolutely is. Stay grounded, stay alert, and stick with regulated financial institutions. That's where real exchanges will occur when the time comes. For those who truly want to demonstrate that they are serious investors, not speculative risk takers, there's another level of preparation you can aim for. Track actual economic indicators. For example, follow Iraq's crude oil output, Vietnam's export performance, or fluctuations in global reserve holdings. Print relevant reports from legitimate financial publications and bring them with you. When you reference these types of developments during a bank visit, it sends a clear signal. You are making inquiries based on real financial shifts, not rumors or hype. For instance, you might say, "According to the Central Bank of Iraq's most recent reserve analysis, the dinar is showing improved backing. Have these developments led to any policy adjustments on your end?" That kind of language will immediately distinguish you from speculative walk-ins. If you're fortunate enough to secure a second meeting with the same banking representative, treat that moment with the importance it deserves. Dress professionally, be on time, and bring the most up-to-date documents. At that stage, your question might sound like, "Have there been any recent changes to your institution's process for handling IQD or VND exchanges?" Notice there's no speculative tone, no reference to RV dates or unrealistic expectations. You're staying within the bounds of policy, inquiry, and professional dialogue. Keep in mind, your reputation at the bank matters more than ever. Financial institutions track client behavior over time. If you visit multiple times and handle each interaction with patience, preparedness, and professionalism, you'll build credibility. This opens the door to future private meetings, early alerts about new policies, or access to secure exchange options. But if you come across as anxious, impatient, or speculative, you'll likely be quietly flagged and your file will be ignored. There are no second chances once that happens. Your behavior today can directly shape your access tomorrow. This is a long-term strategy, one that requires discipline, calm, and focus. You're not just holding foreign currency. You're building a profile, one that shows you're a potential client with long-term financial vision. What you say, how you ask, and how you behave will all factor into the banking institution's perception of you. So instead of saying something risky like, "Is the RV live yet?" consider phrasing your question as, "Has your team implemented any recent procedural updates related to these international currencies in light of global financial changes?" That wording is safe, smart, and opens the possibility for a meaningful conversation. In closing, 2025 is a time of heightened regulation, increased fraud prevention, and complex global currency policies. If you want to gain access to any upcoming exchange processes, your professionalism will be your most powerful asset. Ask questions with purpose, present facts, not speculation, and always operate with the mindset that you are building a relationship, not just fishing for answers. This has been your in-depth strategic guide from Iraqi Dinar News, created to keep you one step ahead in a world where information, reputation, and timing are everything. If this helped you prepare, consider sharing your experience in the comments. Let's keep the conversation going. And most importantly, let's stay informed together.